Alright, good morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone. Today, I'm gonna be showing you the Tier 8 premium aircraft carrier, the Aquila. I made a poll, as you can see here. I made a poll asking you guys if you do actually want to see an Aquila review, and around 75-77% of you voted yes. So I did decide to make one. Here it is. But anyway, so let's start off with, I think, the armor layout first of the carrier, just to show it to you. So here it is. You have a 25mm deck, and then you have 19mm everywhere, so you can get penned by HE and stuff. And then if we take a look at the citadel, it's here, it's here, it's here. It sits very high. I don't actually know if you can citadel it. You know how these tier 8 carriers are. They have citadels, but they're very hard to citadel. But anyway, of course, let's look at our commander build. I am going to be running Last Gasp, Air Supremacy, Torpedo Bomber, Improved Engines, Repair Specialist, Site Stabilization, Aircraft Armor, Survivability Expert, and Proximity Fuse. And then for my equipment, I'm going to be running a Flight Control Mod 1, Torpedo Bombers Mod 2, Aerial Torpedoes Mod 1, Aircraft Engines Mod 1, and Air Groups Mod 1. Okay? And for the look of the ship, well, in terms of the looks, it does look pretty gorgeous, I think, at least. Even though it's a carrier, a ship can still look good in port if it's a carrier, guys, as you can see. There you go. I mean, it is Italian. It's the first Italian carrier in the game. Pretty interesting look, for sure. But yeah. Here's the Italian aircraft. You have two squads, a rocket squad here, and you have the torpedo bomber squad, which is here. Oh my god, there's a jeep on the deck. Hello. But anyway, I think we should show the game in the Aquila. Alright, so Okinawa in a tier 9 to tier 8 to tier 7 match. This is relatively easy matchmaking for Aquila here, as of course you're going to be dealing with minimal AA at tier 7. But here we go. So the Aquila. So let's just look at the statistics of the aircraft down here. I don't really know too much about carriers, guys, but I did want to show you this one because, I mean, even though I don't know too much about them, I can still relatively play them because they're not the crazy hardest, you know, planes in the game. Or sorry, ships in the game. But so you have two squads, right? So you have your rockets and your torpedo bombers, but they're not HE rockets like you may know them from other ships, for example. These are armor piercing rockets, right? So you get that. So it's similar to the German rockets in a way, but the drop angle is different, yes. So you do drop at a different angle or a different height, as you can see. And of course the planes aren't, I mean, they're actually pretty fast, 214, but that's with boost, right? And the HP per plane is, well, I think it's 1,300, I believe. I believe. You have 10 planes, of course, 5 per drop. In my experience so far, at least, they don't feel like the tankiest things in the game, to be honest. Personally, guys, the only carrier I kind of play and have fun in is Indomitable, because it's really strong, and I mean it's so one-dimensional in its play style. It's really easy and like dumb to play, so I kind of just want to play an easy and dumb ship, you know. So, but anyway, so the Aquila is of course, it only has two squads. It has no dive bomber squad, but that's okay. That's literally fine. The torpedoes on it are actually pretty good. The torpedoes on the Aquila are actually pretty good. You drop, I believe, 4 per payload. I think, no, you drop 2 per payload. You drop 2 per payload. Okay. And they do 7,000 damage each. They go 30 knots, 3.5 kilometer range, 400 meter armoring distance. So they're very slow torps. They're some of the slowest aircraft carrier torps in the game. They only go 30 knots. But, in my experience at least, when you do hit them, you actually do end up stacking some damage with the floods and stuff. And it's actually pretty good. Like, it's actually a pretty good time, to be honest. Of course, I'm not the best carrier player around, guys, so do forgive me if I don't know all the details. I'm just kind of giving you a mini kind of review on the Aquila from a normal surface ship player perspective. But yeah, boom, of course. And then we just turn around, I guess. We used our heals so our planes don't die. I mean, this is pretty much standard carrier gameplay. I mean, you know, you go in, you take damage, you heal, you don't lose as many planes as you thought, and then you go back, you drop 2, and then you launch again. You know, it's pretty intense stuff for sure. It's just pretty much torpedoes, right? I think the carrier's fine. To me at least, it does seem very not similar to Indomitable in a way, but the fact that you only have 2 squads kind of shows, right? You are going to be using your torpedoes most often, in my opinion. For example, in Indomitable, you use your dive bombers most of the time. In this ship, you can actually use your rockets like constantly though, because they're AP. And if you do find a broadside cruiser, you can do some damage to it, or even a broadside battleship. You do actually end up settling quite a fair amount of cruisers at lower tiers. Well, obviously, they're AP rockets, but I don't think they're as severe as like Richthofen rockets. But yeah, so it's just pretty much your torpedoes, right? Most of the time. Let's just talk about the torpedoes, right? So as you've seen so far, it's pretty much you go in. If you're taking too much damage because there's too much AA, you heal through the AA, you walk through, you torp, you come back around, torp him again, and sometimes, you know, that process takes around 10 seconds. If that process takes around 10 seconds, that's good. If it takes longer, that's good, because your goal is, if he DCPs 1 flood instantly, you can actually perma-flood it, right? And I'll show this a bit later on in this replay, actually, because at the later stages of the game, these 3 battleships down here are going to get, like, turbo-torped, in a way. So I use my heal here a bit early, which it's true, I did use it a bit early, which isn't really the best play. I'm not the best carrier player in the game, so I'll only actually get 1 strike off here. But yeah, I think that was, of course, a misplay. But we do get 2 torps and a flood. So here is an example, I guess, of the AP rockets, I guess. I'm gonna try get in here. 213 knots. Click. I might have clicked a bit too high, but we end up doing 7,000 damage. So the HP on the torpedo bombers, each plane is 1,400, and the HP on the rocket planes is 1,200. So the torpedo bombers are a bit tankier, of course, and they get the hail. Of course, they're easier to use in that regard, and their boost lasts for longer, you know, and they still go basically the same top speed. So literally, the torpedoes are definitely your main ammunition, main damage source. All right, so here we go. So this is a solo King George V. He has nothing to support him, so I'm here, you know, I'm chilling, and I'm like, yo, you know, I want to torp this guy, you know, ruin his day, you know, basically. So the carrier player playstyle. Oh, I'm gonna ruin his day today. Boom, you torp, and then you fly around, you fly around, and then he gets a flood, and he's like, oh shit, I'm flooding. And then he might choose to DCP, he might choose to not. He did DCP, as you can see from the top right, our damage isn't going up. So then we go back for the drop, here, boom. And, well, I think I missed this one actually, but if I don't miss this one, it's gonna be pretty decent. We got a perma-flood, nothing. Okay, we got a perma-flood. So that's quite a fair amount of damage there. We're gonna get perma-flooding. Our role again is launching 2 planes here. I didn't really want to wait the whole time for the whole squad to come back. I just wanted to launch these 2 planes. I can go. I'm gonna get 4 planes back, or how many I'm getting back up there. So my carrier is gonna be filled with torpedo bombers. So I'm gonna go down here. By the time my planes are back for me to launch, I'm already here to torture the KGV again. So we're going to turn right, of course, here easily. I mean, this is pretty much tier 7 matchmaking for the Aquila. I think it doesn't do as well in tier 10 matchmaking, obviously. For example, if you really want a carrier that does fine in tier 10 matchmaking, that I've tried recently, actually, it's Indomitable. That one does fine because really and truly the anti-aircraft interaction is completely gone. So it doesn't matter how good a AA you have or whatever the fuck on a battleship. The Indomitable will walk over you and will strike you, guaranteed, because it has a system of... It's not a system, it's more how the ship is designed in a way where it can avoid AA completely because of the slingshot ability it has. It's something most carriers don't have. I believe it's actually unique to Indomitable, where it can just completely avoid anti-aircraft. We're just trying to find this Nagato at this point. There he is. I would go for the Cherbourg, but he's very maneuverable. Plus, he's running at my Marlboro. My Marlboro can destroy that. So let's just chill out and go for the Nagato here. Pop. Let's see if we can get a restrike. 2 seconds. Okay, there. The cooldown for the torps is really quick. Like, you can get them back up very quickly. It's only like 2 seconds, which is really cool, I guess. But sadly, we do miss the Nagato with the first strike. I don't think we miss him with the second strike. Let's go again. That's pretty much it here. Marlboro does kill the Lepanto, and we're going to end up winning the game. There's not really much that happens. Let's speed it up a bit. Oh shit, wrong button. Speed it up a bit. I try to go for the strike on the Cherbourg here. Slow down my planes, go. I think I dropped right on his hull, so I might actually not hit that. And I'm trying to run speed. I actually hit 2 torps there, and I'm trying to speed run towards the Nagato here, so I can maybe get a torpedo, but I get 1 plane off. Man is angry at me in chat, which is understandable. I'm gonna try run back to the Cherbourg, but it might be over. We're gonna try rocket him, but the Amagi is of course right in front of him. Top. And he does end up dying to my teammates. Alright, so for personal score, we ended up doing 148,000 damage, 21 torpedo hits, 2 kills, 7 floodings, 66 rocket hits, 10 spots, and 4 incaps. For team score, we ended up getting 3rd place, 1.8k base XP. We got 2 kills, of course. Shira and Brest did pretty well, so we did end up complimenting them. But I can't, of course, show you that because this is a picture of the score. For detailed report, we of course, as we can see, did most of our damage from torpedoes and floods. 115k to be exact from torpedoes, 17k from the 7 floods, 15k from rockets. We did 54k to the KGV, 22k to the Zeton, 22k to the Nagato, 21k to the KGV, 16 to the Cherbourg, and 7k to the Pobeda. And we lost quite a fair amount of planes. We lost 25 torpedo planes and 27 rockets. But I think we still had a relatively quite a fair amount of planes left at the end. Of course, this ship doesn't seem to lose too many planes. I mean, it loses a lot, but I think it keeps them and like rotates them around and gets new ones really quickly. For credits and XP, we ended up getting 465,000 credits, 6k XP, 745 free XP, and 7.8k commander XP. Alright, so for my commander build, once again, I'm running Last Gasp, Air Supremacy, Repair Specialist, Improved Engines, Torpedo Bomber, Site Stabilization, Aircraft Armor, Survivability Expert, and Proximity Fuse. In terms of my equipment, I'm running Flight Control Mod 1, Torpedo Bombers Mod 2, Aerial Torpedoes Mod 1, Aircraft Engines Mod 1, and Air Groups Mod 1. So that is my build for the Aquila. And do I recommend the ship? Well, if you're not an aircraft carrier player, no. if you know how to play aircraft carriers, and you think you enjoy the gameplay of spamming torpedoes and maybe using an AP rocket now and then, it can be kind of fun, I guess. You just have to keep in mind that, well, in high tier matches, it's going to be harder to play. Obviously, we had a very easy match there because it was tier 7 to tier 9. Mostly tier 7s are what we struck anyway. You just have to keep in mind that in tier 10, it still is usable, guaranteed, because I've had games in it in tier 10. But it is going to be relatively harder, obviously. But that's pretty much any tier 8 for tier 10. It is obviously going to be harder even if you're in a tech tree or a tier 8 or whatever. Obviously, you get those dominant matches where you're going to fight tier 6s and you basically can't die, so you're indestructible. So that's also pretty good. But that is the Aquila. I think, of course, it's going to suffer against destroyers quite fairly. Because it only has AP and torps. It's going to suffer, obviously, like every other carrier, against submarines, because whenever a submarine runs at the carrier, you pretty much are dead, guaranteed. From playing submarines, I know this. From playing some Indomitable, I know this. You don't normally just kill submarines too easily, especially if they're there and you don't have, you know, people to support you. So you have that factor. But otherwise, I mean, you can do relatively good damage to cruisers, and you can do pretty good damage to battleships. You kind of demolish them. But that's pretty much it. That's the Aquila. It's an Italian carrier. Do I recommend it? Well, like I said, if you're not a carrier player, no. If you're a carrier player and you'll enjoy the gameplay, which you saw last game, of torpedoes every strike, you know, sure. But that is the Aquila from a surface ship player point of view. I feel like I talked about pretty much everything the ship has to offer, maybe. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, guys, and I'll see you in the next one, which will be out tomorrow. Big fan.